I just remember pulling his leg all the time when he was in the front row. I believe he was about 12 years old or something like that, and now we end up being teammates. So life is crazy sometimes, I tell you.
Welcome into the NFL on Fox podcast. I'm Dave Helman. We've got an exciting one for y'all today. Thrilled about this. All-decade cornerback, all-pro cornerback Patrick Peterson is dropping by the show, one of my all-time favorite players, stopping by to talk some ball. Looking forward to that. Going to be a great show. As always, you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed. We got guests like Pat coming on all off season long. So much good content for you throughout the off season. Make sure you're subscribed. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you want to leave a review, I would really appreciate it. You know where to find us on social at NFL on Fox Pod. Go check out the TikTok channel. Go find us on Instagram. Wherever you prefer to get your NFL news, your podcasts, you can find us there. As always, we appreciate it. Looking forward to y'all hearing the interview with Patrick Peterson, but we can't start there. We have a lot to get to. We told you earlier in the week we'd keep you updated about what's coming out of the owners' meetings in Orlando, Florida. Well, the game has changed. I'm not exaggerating. The game of football has changed since the last time we talked to you. NFL owners approved a new kickoff rule on, I guess that was Tuesday. It's hard to keep track with all the news coming out of the owners' meetings. A new kickoff proposal has been approved by NFL ownership that is going to radically change the play and, in my opinion, in most people's opinion, make it viable for the first time in years, as we have seen the kickoff become basically a useless formality in the vast majority of NFL games. 73% of kickoffs went for touchbacks last season, easily the most in NFL history. There were just 4 kickoff return touchdowns all of last year. That's the fewest since 2000. And as exciting as kickoffs have been at times in NFL history, it's kind of been a waste of time. There wasn't a single kickoff return in the most recent Super Bowl between the Chiefs and Niners. I have a feeling that seeing that many touchbacks in a row in the biggest game of the year probably influenced this decision to say, all right, we got to do something. We got to make a change. And boy, have they. Because this isn't just like moving the kicker by 5 yards or asking the return man to move somewhere. No, they changed the whole rule. If you've seen the XFL, that's the model they're adapting, which I'm going to advise you right now. Go find a video on social if you haven't, because it's easier than me explaining it. But basically, the NFL is moving the kick return all onto one side of the field. The kicker is going to remain where he's always been at the opposing 35. It'll be the same distance of kickoff. But now, instead of the kicking team running with him from the 35, they will be positioned in what's called the start line, which is on the opposing 45 yard line. So 40 yards away from the end zone. Then the return team's blockers will be 5 yards away in what they're calling the setup zone. So if you picture it, kickers 25, 30 yards away, and then all of the blockers and tacklers are condensed into 5-10 yards of territory. Obviously, the goal here is to reduce high-speed collisions. The kicking team is running way less. The return team, there's less room to build up. So much more traditional blocking, like line of scrimmage style blocking, instead of the crazy high-speed collisions that lead to injuries, which is why they nerfed this rule in the first place. So you reduce the blocking room. Then you've got your landing zone starting at the 20 and in. If the ball lands 20 yards and in, it has to be returned. There's no fair catch. There's none of that. If it lands there, it's returned. If it lands in the end zone, you get a kickoff, a touchback at the 35-yard line, which is a full 10 yards further than what we're used to. So the NFL clearly incentivizing kicking teams to put it in returnable territory in that landing zone of 20 yards. Kicking team can't even start moving until the ball is caught or lands on the ground. So again, it's going to be wild to see NFL kickers kick off, then see everybody standing still for about 4 seconds before the action gets going. I can't tell you how excited I am about this, though. I think it's going to lead to a lot of fun. I mean, clearly it's going to change what kickoffs look like. I think there's going to be less emphasis on pure straight line speed. Like I said, I think you're going to see more traditional blocking. Like I could imagine this look more like just running plays on offense, where it's more about setting up your blockers and finding the hole in the coverage as opposed to just gunning it the way we see from kickoff returners these days. There's a lot of potential for trick plays here. Again, the XFL has already shown just how much fun this can be. So kickoffs are going to be exciting for the first time in like a decade. I don't think it's a coincidence that Cordero Patterson signed a deal the same day that this rule got passed, signed a deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the best kickoff returners in NFL history. He'll get a shot to make his mark with these new rules. I'm really excited for it. If you should read more about it because there's a lot of intricacies, but that's basically the gist, is lowering the high speed element of the kickoff, making it more viable while keeping it less dangerous. I'm so in favor. I love that the NFL was willing to do something so radical, because this looks nothing like what we've ever associated with football. So for them to do it, I think it's a testament to their commitment to making the game more entertaining while also keeping it safer for players. A+ for everybody. Really happy that's happening. Couple more tidbits to get to. Number one, the NFL pulled the okey doke on us, because way back at the end of 2023, they said Christmas is on a Wednesday, no Christmas games. We're not doing that because it doesn't make sense with the schedule. Then I have a feeling they sat down and said, wait a second, how many viewers watched the Monday night game between the Ravens and the 49ers? Oh, it averaged 27 million on Christmas? Yeah, we're not giving that up. And that's the case here. The NFL has announced a Christmas Day doubleheader on Wednesday, December 25th. It is a Wednesday. It's, again, talk about unprecedented. The only other time we've seen Wednesday football in recent history was during the COVID season. So basically, the NFL is going to finagle this to where the teams playing on Christmas Day are also going to play the Saturday before. So the NFL is, in essence, creating a 4-day window. Commissioner Roger Goodell said, it's basically the same thing as Sunday to Thursday. It's just Saturday to Wednesday. I'm sure NFL players love hearing that. I mean, that's a heck of a toll to put on your body at the end of the season. You've already played 15, 16 weeks. Now you're going to go Saturday to Wednesday. But 27 million viewers on Christmas night speaks for itself. I'm completely unsurprised that the league would opt for a Christmas Day doubleheader. So if you're keeping track, I mean, at that time of year, so we're going to have Wednesday night football, Thursday night football. There's Saturday games at that time of year. And then you got your Sunday slate too. So I hope your family likes football, because it's going to be around the clock all that week. Looking forward to it. The holidays are synonymous with football now. I can't say I'm mad about it. I can't say I'm mad about having something to have on TV at a time when everybody's gathered around the TV, around the living room anyway. So that's a ton of fun. Another scheduled note is that the NFL officially moved the trade deadline back a week. It's still the same basic time. It's going to be in early November. It is officially the Tuesday after week 9. I think this basically accommodates teams that wanted it a little bit later to say, we need one more week to find out if we're buyers or sellers. By week 9, most teams will have played 8 or 9 games, depending on your bye week, but most teams will be halfway or more through their season by then. So I think this is just buying an extra week to say, are we a playoff team or are we not a playoff team? Should we be buying or selling? Not a big deal. Worth mentioning. One last thing, couple more things to get to. League also announced they've been doing, we all know about training camp Hard Knocks. For the last 3 or 4 years, they've also been doing in-season Hard Knocks, where they follow an NFL team over the course of the season. Again, it's always going to be bigger in the NFL. Like if they find out that it's profitable, if it gets views, if it makes money, they're going to do it bigger. That is the case here. The NFL announces that their in-season Hard Knocks this year is going to focus on an entire division So that's 4 different teams that'll have the camera crews on hand, getting all of the inside detail. I mean, in an age where we have so much access, what's a little bit more, I guess? I'm curious to see how that affects, because we get this for 2 teams every year, but now you're talking about an entire division worth of teams. I can't lie, it does sound interesting to see 4 different teams' perspective on how the division race is shaping up, how each team's fortunes are going, and you get so many different storylines. For instance, for my money, the NFC North might be the most interesting division in football from a documentary standpoint when you talk about the Lions trying to get back to the NFC Championship game, the Packers trying to build on an incredible season, and then the other 2 teams in that division, the Chicago Bears and Minnesota Vikings, very likely going to have new rookie franchise quarterbacks. Lot of intrigue there. I can see the appeal, but you just have to laugh. It's always going to be bigger in the NFL. That's just what they do. One last thing to get to, a free agent signing of note. The Rams agree to terms on a 1-year deal worth up to $10 million for cornerback Tre'Davious White. White tore his Achilles with Buffalo. He's dealt, unfortunately, with a few leg injuries here over the last couple of years. Also tore his ACL, I believe, in 2021. All-pro player, still just 29 years old, presumably has plenty of gas in the tank, but classic prove-it deal where White is coming off of his Achilles injury. Rams sign him to an affordable deal in the hopes that if he meets up, if he gets healthy, plays up to the potential we've seen for him before, A, he can help the Rams defense a hell of a lot, and B, he'll be able to hit the market at this time next year and get a much bigger deal. So cool to see that for Trey White coming off of that injury. Noteworthy signing for the Rams. Speaking of LSU DBs, because Tre'Davious White did go to LSU, we've got the granddaddy of DBU, my guy, Patrick Peterson, joining the show for an offseason chat. Check it out. All right, my next guest would be thrilling to talk to regardless, because he is a 3-time All-Pro, 8-time NFL Pro Bowler, one of the best corners to ever do it, 2010s All-Decade. Does he need more of an intro than that? No, but I'm going to give it to him because, as a proud LSU alum, Patrick Peterson, personally one of my all-time dudes. Pat, it's awesome to have you on the show, man. Thanks for coming by.
Oh man, you guys, thanks for having me, man.
So I have, like I told you before we started recording, I got a whole interview planned out, but I'm on Twitter as we're getting ready to go. And this year's LSU Pro Day is happening right now as we're recording. Malik Neighbors is jumping out of the gym. Jaden Daniels he's doing his thing for the NFL scouts. So having you on right now, it feels apropos. I know it was a minute ago, but what do you remember from that whole experience back in 2011? Like, if you've got a great story, whether it's from your pro day or from draft night, whatever, what's your best story from the draft cycle?
Man, I will say it was definitely a minute ago. But I remember the draft process like it was yesterday, man. I can remember being in Indianapolis, going through all of the medical um, procedures that you needed to go through, the MRIs, all the different exams that the NFL wanted to put you through to make sure that your body was, ready to take on the physical beating that it was, far as the NFL. And the most prideful moment I had is probably the night before the uh the combine, because I really treated the combine like it was like a prize fight for me, because it was a big job interview for me. Obviously, you're hearing all the rumors that I can be a top 5 pick. Possibly, there's a lot of guys saying that I'm worthy enough of the number 1 pick. So it was big to me to go out there and perform, to the best of my ability. So the night before, I'll never forget. Remember just doing some get offs in the hallway, doing some back pedal drills. Brian, my cousin, he had a pretty good idea on the drills that we were going to be doing in the combine. So I had the opportunity to pull his leg leading up to the combine throughout the process. So I kind of like emptied the tank at the draft, and by the time I got to pro day, I had nothing to do but drills, so I didn't need to run a 40. I didn't need to do any broad jumps or vertical jumps. Nowadays, the NFL combine is different. I guess you have You get the opportunity to decide if you want to participate in the NFL Combine or not. But that time of my life was probably some of the best times of my life, getting ready to be where I'm at today.
Which obviously you go on to be the number 5 overall pick. So you did it. But I am curious, and like I'm sure that's a ton of fun. You're getting ready to do what you got to do. All you have to focus on is being the best draft prospect possible. But it's such a long process, man. Like
Yeah.
when you get to like late March, early April, and there's still weeks to go, like I'm sure it's fun, but like, do you remember the nerves of it or the frustration of like, oh my God, can we just start calling the names?
And not to sound cocky or arrogant, but I really didn't care, about the process because for me, I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed every bit of it because those are things that you needed to go through in order to build your mental aspect of it. In my opinion, the guys who are able to last in this league a very long time, I think that's what the combine and the draft process is all not all about, but it do wear you down mentally. And when you get into this league and you get into this arena, it wears you down mentally. So how are you able to handle that? How are you able to navigate through the BS? How are you able to separate, you know, real life and football? So and that's what the great ones are able to do. And I think, the NFL is just giving the youngsters a taste of it, what it's like to navigate through real life situations, which is, going through the medical, going through the job interviews, getting on planes, going state to state to see these different teams. Are you going to be able to perform at your optimum level when it's called upon? So I believe, like I said, the NFL Combine, they do a great job, and NFL does a great job of giving the guys a taste of what it's going to be like once you do have an opportunity to make it to the NFL.
Right. There's plenty more where that came from once you get drafted. All right, let's jump to now. I mean, you've been good enough and fortunate enough, obviously, a decade plus in this league. You've signed 4 different NFL contracts, I believe, from the rookie deal to the big extension to the veteran deals. I'm
Yep.
curious what this year 13, year 14,
Mhm.
you get to March this time of year, like what have you learned about this process having gone through it in so many different iterations where you're looking for your next contract, you're looking to see what the future is going to bring for you. What have you learned over the course of that from the time you were 21, 22 until now?
Well, like you said, I was very fortunate enough early on in my career to where I really never had to really worry about, the free agency process or, being, cut or released or anything like that. I was pretty much always set in stone, especially when I was with Arizona. When I got drafted there, I was kind of like a cornerstone piece for the defense. Obviously played good enough to sign an extension there, 5-year extension, coming at the time the highest paid cornerback in the league, and that ended up, helping me play a 10-year career there. And then after that, that's when it started becoming, not, bouncing the team to team, but then that's when I started to have an opportunity to see how it is in the free agency market, waiting on calls or, talking to the different GMs across the league, so but at this stage, and that was in year 10, 11, because in year 10, I stayed 2 years in Minnesota. And last year was my first year in Pittsburgh. So I had, 2 opportunities to go through it. But now, at this stage in my career, going into year 14, obviously I know it's going to be a little bit different because I understand the direction that the league is going in, but at the same time, I do feel like I still have a lot left in the tank and can provide, not only leadership, but playmaking ability to whatever team desire to have me on their roster. So at this point and stage of my career, I'm just, going through the free agent process, just honestly just taking it a day at a time. I'm very happy to be home with my girls. Being a father, taking them to school, taking them to dance camp, cheer practice. Those are things I enjoy, especially this time of the year, because those the events that I miss during the season. So whatever happens, happens. Just know that I'm very, very blessed in the position that I am in, and if that was the last ride, I hate for it to be, because I always set the goal out for myself to play 14 years, but we still have time, and we'll see what happens in the next couple months.
Which that's what I wanted to get to next. And look, I'm not asking you to put too much of your business out in public, but I think fans don't. It's one thing that you never really get access to is what this process looks like for players. And I'm curious, what does this look like for you? And it's awesome that you get to spend time at home with your family, but I would be curious to know, like, what's your degree of contact with NFL teams? I would imagine there's a couple of situations that you and your representation are monitoring, or conversations that you have intermittently. And
Mm.
I'm just curious, like, the degree of contact that you're having with teams, and how you see that kind of shaping out here over the next couple months.
Well, yeah, obviously you have to wait and see, what teams want to do, because at this stage, now the draft is around the corner. Teams are still trying to build, their roster, but at the same time, you want to make sure that whatever team that you're going to, that you're not, getting any BS. So, at this stage of the season, you're not going to really see any more signings like talking about, especially from the cornerback position. I think a lot more signings are probably going to happen towards after the draft, once teams really understand what they have on their roster and what they may need to continue to improve their rosters. I believe that's when you'll start to see more guys get picked up. But we do have me and my agent have had conversations with a couple teams. Nothing really serious thus far, but there has been conversations, and like I said, we'll see what happens in the next couple months. I'm definitely willing to play a 14th season in the NFL if that's God's willing. So we'll see what's in the plans here in the next couple months. But I'm working out. I'm doing everything that I need to do to make sure that I am ready whenever that phone does ring.
Just out of curiosity, and I mean, I firmly believe, like, yeah, absolutely, and the phone is going to ring. Honestly, the cornerback market looks very interesting right now, because I mean, yourself, Xavier Howard, Stephon Gilmore,
Mm.
Adoree Jackson, like, there are a lot of accomplished cornerbacks that still have plenty of football in the tank. And, like, to your point, once the draft is over and these teams have added the rookies they're going to add, I think you're going to see quite a few veteran deals get signed. I am
Mm.
curious from your perspective, I mean, you've accomplished so much. Is there something in particular you're aiming to still accomplish, whether that's winning a Super Bowl? Do you just still really love playing football? Like, what do you want to do from here in your career?
Man, you hit two of them right on the head. I really love playing football. Like, I love the game dearly. And there's nothing that can take me away from the game unless I can't walk or be able to go out there and give my absolute best. In the Super Bowl, I feel like I have achieved every individual goal that I have set out for myself for my NFL career. That's to make multiple Pro Bowls, make multiple All Pros, to be a member of the All Decade team, to put yourself in position to have an opportunity to put a gold jacket on. That's still out of my hands, but I feel like I've done everything that I can to have the opportunity to be in that conversation. So those are two things that hit home for me. Just having the opportunity to play this game that I love so dearly, and to win a sticky Lombardi. I mean, because as a as fear as a feared competitor as I am, fierce competitor as I am, um, that's why you play the game, to be recognized as a champion.
One last thing about that, I'm curious, injuries mainly led to this, but you played about 200 snaps of safety for the Steelers last year. I'm curious what you thought about that experience and whether you think that's something you could see yourself doing at your next stop.
Man, safety was fun. It was awesome because I had an opportunity to not only communicate with everybody that's in the secondary, because the safety is basically the quarterback of the corners and the linebackers, getting guys in different checks. When certain things change, we might be going to one of our audible calls or one of our checks that's within the call. So have an opportunity to really, you know, run the show from the back end was pretty cool, and it's something I always wanted to do, because being in high school, like I played everywhere on the football field. Like I was never limited to one position until I got to college. So I always been that athlete that never came off the football field. If there was 2 hours in the football game, I played 2 hours. If there was 48 minutes in the football games, I played 48 minutes. It's to to where I was the place kicker, the punter, the field goal kicker. If I was, I remember one game, Coach Jones asked me, he was like, "Man, can you be quarterback and throw it to yourself too?" I said, "Coach, I don't think I can do that, but I can try." so just have an opportunity to do all of those things in high school, and now life being full circle, and now being in NFL year 13, having an opportunity to do it, it was just remarkable, man. So, you know, if a team would want me to be that as well as an emergency, because I will say this, I don't want to start at safety because that's a different animal back there. It's a different view back there.
Sure.
If that is the case, like I would need to be warned going into the season to get my body and my mental prepared because, like I said, it's different being at the safety from a cornerback position, having those open field tackles, because as corners, we're used to knifing in and slicing guys down. When you're on the open field as a safety, that guy got what 23 yards, especially if you're in the middle of the field, 24 yards right and 24 yards left of you. There ain't no way to cut him off by any means, and you're the last line of defense. So if that is something that I will need notice, and probably get one of these old time safeties like a Ed Reed or Palamu or somebody to coach me up
Call them
on a
up
couple
and
of
yeah,
things at the
ask for some tips before you get into that. I'm curious.
yeah.
Speaking of your time in Pittsburgh, it felt like to me, at least, on a national level, Joey Porter Jr. flew under the radar a little bit last year. And I
Mm.
thought I thought he had a phenomenal rookie season, drafted at the top of the second round. Played the whole season, 10 pass breakups. Seemed like he was off to a really good start. What's your impression of Joey Porter Jr. having played cornerback at the highest level, but also spent the season around him?
Man, Joey, just have an opportunity to spend the season around him. You remind me so much of myself. Young, hungry, uh, that loves the game and that embrace every challenge that comes his way. Um, to be in the room with him each and every day, I had the opportunity to watch him grow. Have an opportunity to watch his confidence grow week in and week out, and to see a young fella confidence grow the at the at the at the at the rate that his was growing. You just know the sky's going to be the limit for him. And every single day, Joey wanted to know who his next challenge was going to be, and he faced that challenge each and every week. And as a young pup, man, like I said earlier, as a young pup, as an older guy, when you see young pups coming in with that type of hunger, that type of confidence within themselves, you just can't help but to feed into them because, like I said, that's how I saw myself. That's how I wanted to be when I came into the league. So now being, the OG, the old guy in the room, now looking at all of these younger guys come in the room each and every day, be like, damn, he kind of remind me of myself, or damn, I like what he's doing, or damn, he's gonna have a bright future. And Joy is one of those guys. When he walked in the room, I watched him, his mannerism, watched him work each and every day. I was like, damn, yeah, he's going to be a household name. He's going to be a good one for this DB community for sure.
So, did you give him shit because you played with his dad, or did he give you shit because you played with his dad?
It was kind of both. I think I kind of brought it up because it was crazy. LeBron had just did a interview maybe like 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks to a month prior to us drafting him, and I was like, man, and LeBron was like, I feel kind of weird playing against I forget whose son he was playing against, but he played against his dad as well. And it was like, God dog, that feels kind of awkward because now I'm playing with Joey Porter Jr. and I played with Joey Porter Sr. in Arizona. So when I first met him, I did remember, just teasing him about being in the front room when his dad used to bring me over to his house because he didn't live in they didn't live in Arizona at the time. They lived in California, so they used to, commute back and forth, when it was either in the summertime or whenever his dad had home games. So I just remember pulling his leg all the time when he was in the front row. I believe he was about 12 years old or something like that. And now we end up being teammates. So life is crazy sometimes, I tell you.
Life comes at you fast, right?
Yes, indeed.
Hey, I mean, shoot, I can bring this full circle. I covered your recruitment out of
Wow.
Pompano Beach, and now here we are talking about your very long, very successful NFL career. Which, all right, I'm gonna let you go in a minute, but I host the show, so I can do what I want. So
Yes, you can.
I'm gonna get you at least a couple LSU questions. So for starters, this is something I've always been curious about.
Uh-huh.
Like every so many players in the NFL went to big time college football programs.
Mhm.
Everybody went to school. Everybody, yeah, I get it. But you are one of those guys. You always seem to ride for LSU. I mean, you very generously donated to the athletic facilities. And like, there are plenty of guys that are like, yeah, that's where I went to school, but big whoop. But like you, I mean, you ride for LSU in a way that not a lot, maybe not a lot of guys, but not everybody does. And I'm just curious, what was it about your experience at LSU that it made that big of an impact on you?
Man, LSU put me on a platform that I always wanted to be on to showcase my talent. LSU gave me an opportunity to be a trendsetter, which was to be their first Jim Thorpe winner. Um, LSU also gave me the opportunity to meet my beautiful wife that's going on now 12 years. And we had the opportunity to, grow our family having two beautiful daughters. The culture there, my experience, the coaching staff, the competitive edge that we had to go through each and every day, far as the football team, my teammates, because I tell guys this all the time. Coming from Florida, you think, well, I don't think we are the cream of the crop when it comes to athletes, being superior athletes. And when I got to Louisiana, I was like, man, these dudes are just like us. Like, how come I've never heard about Louisiana football before? So then when I got there, I saw dudes that's hungry, just like me, just as athletic as me, just as fast as me. I felt like I fit right in. I was right at home. And from day one, those guys really took me in as their own, So naming all of those things that LSU provided for me, my experience, having the teammates that I had the opportunity to play with, the friendships that I had the opportunity to grow, it's gonna last me a lifetime. And that's something I'll never ever forget. And that's why I'm so down for LSU because without them, I don't know where Patrick Peterson would be. They gave me an opportunity to showcase my talents. They gave me an opportunity to really kickstart my life. And look where we are now. So whatever I can do to give back to not only help the college. I wish I was in school when these NIL deals was out, but that's another story. But whatever I can do to help the university, to continue to get the tip top athletes in, if that's donating $1 million to the athletic department by making the weight room bigger. If that's you know being there on recruitment trips, trying to get the top DBs in there because there we have had a little slip off of our title of the DBU.
I didn't want to
So
say it, but it's
I'm an honest man. I'm an honest man. So we have had a little slip up on the title of DBU. So we want to get back to the top of the mountain with that. So whatever I can do, I'm all for it.
all right, which music to my ears, honestly. Yeah, I was thinking about that on my drive into work. I was like, man, Stingley's great, but like we got to get some more cornerbacks in the league, which to that end, one last one for you. I'm going to put you on the spot. I don't feel bad about it. Your Mount Rushmore of LSU players, like your
Players in general?
Yeah. We'll leave the coaches and stuff out for the purposes of this. I'm just curious, from one of the best to do it, the original 7, what would your 4 guys be?
My 4 guys would be Tyrann Matthews, just what he was able to do as a defensive player, a guy who never touched the ball, but he had more touchdowns than some of the running backs or the receivers that he played with in that season. It's 4. So I go with another one, Joe Burrow. Got to put Joe Shiesty on there, man.
Of course.
Yeah, the things that he was able to do in that 2019 season.
19, yeah.
Yeah, 2019 season, 60 touchdowns, 5,000 plus yards passing, 3 receivers over 1,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Just a remarkable year that I don't see a quarterback resembling in a very, very long time. Number 3, I will have to go with myself. I put myself on Mount Rushmore. Like you said, the original number 7, although it came from Ali Highsmith, who's from Miami Central.
That's
who
right.
I
That's right.
Asked for it before he left because he ended up leaving his senior year. So yeah, the original number 7, who actually put number 7 on the map, far as LSU passing it on to playmakers or whoever they feel who was the best player in their on their football team. And also, I was one of 3 players to win the Jim Thorpe and the Bednarik in the same year. Number 1, I know a lot of people don't know him, but he is the pioneer of LSU football. You're gonna need YouTube to pull up his highlights. But Billy Cannon, the first Heisman Trophy winner in 1959, if I'm not mistaken. Just what he was able to do to put LSU football on the map. Just that remarkable punt return that he had in his Heisman campaign year. I think it was like 89 yards or something like that. 89-yard punt return against Ole Miss. Pretty much solidified his Heisman Trophy campaign that night. So I had to put the 2 Heisman Trophy winners in there, the one Heisman Trophy finalist and Honey Badger, and the guy who pretty much started DBU, and that's myself.
It's a damn near perfect list. I mean, you could make a case for Glenn Dorsey if you wanted to.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got to mention the newest one, Jaden, of course.
Yep.
But I like your list, and with some historical context as well. I would expect nothing less from one of the GOATs of LSU football. And look, if you don't like LSU football or you don't want to hear about it on an NFL podcast, that's just too bad. If Patrick Peterson's coming on my show, we're going to do at least like 5-10 minutes about it. Pat, this is so much fun, man. It's so cool to rap with you. Looking forward to seeing what you got going on next. Like I said, I'm positive the phone's going to ring. I can't wait to see what's in store for you. And hey, anytime you want to come on, you got a standing invite, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. And I can't leave without saying, go Tigers.
Go Tigers. That does it for today's show. Thanks again to Patrick Peterson for stopping by. We'll actually be back this weekend with a bonus interview, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And of course, we'll be back next week. We'll be back in your feed with all new episodes, updating you on the latest news. Might have a few other interesting interviews in store as well. Keep your eyes peeled. Real quick before we go, I'm going to keep reminding you, we are into round 2 of our head coaches bracket. Who is the best coach in the NFL? Our play on March Madness. So as you get ready for the next round of basketball games, swing on by the YouTube channel at NFL on Fox on YouTube. Cast your votes. We had over 450,000 of y'all vote in the first round. So please, let's keep the good times rolling as we get further in the bracket and crown the best coach in the NFL. Appreciate that. As always, we appreciate you listening. Go make sure you subscribe on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your NFL news, wherever you get your podcasts. We will be there, and I will talk to y'all soon. Thanks again.